Welcome to Life After the Fire, the preeminent podcast for all things related to having a great life after the fire service. My name is Chris Phelps. I'm your host, joined today by a good friend, longtime friend, David Markle.
Thank you for having me, Chris. This is a pretty cool experience. And like I was saying before this started, it's gotten everybody full circle back to seeing familiar faces that we haven't seen over the years.
Yeah.
And being able to hear the stories that they've brought to you.
Yeah, it's something else. Huh? And you know, that's why I really wanted to start this whole thing was, you know, hearing the stories about, you know, what people are doing since retirement, and, you know, realizing that, you know, after the fire service, you get out, you have the potential to get out so young that you can have an amazing second career, or even 3 careers. I don't know, but you know, me getting into the mortgage business really kind of was eye-opening for me. Like, I've got a whole, you know, another half a life ahead of me. And talking with my financial advisor, he's like, well, how long do you want to work? I'm like, well, the kind of stuff that I'm doing, I could literally work up until the day I die. And,
yeah, that's how, I mean, I got in the fire service at 18 and I extended my career prior to going into the drop, and I'll do 33 successful years when I leave at 51 on my 51st birthday. I needed something to do. And, you know, I've found a lot of different adventures, but we think we're on the right path with this one here.
Cool. So David and I started or worked together with the fire department here in South Florida many moons ago. Dave's always been a avid, I would say, outdoorsman. And we've done a lot of fishing together. I've never really done any hunting with you, but I know you do a lot of bit of that. And being in the outdoors is something you love, and something you're good at, right?
Absolutely.
And now you figured out a way to monetize it.
I have. It took a while. Started back in 2010. I decided to do guided hunts. I had a small piece of leased property out on the West Coast, and it was working to my advantage until the money coming in was not as great as I thought when it came to paying the leases on annuals and fees. So we kind of put it to rest for a couple years, and recently, in the last year and a half, I've gained a lot of property out on the West Coast in Polk County, Florida, and was able to bring this business back to life. And as you know, living on the water, our boats, if we're not fishing, I'm hunting. So like you said, I found an easy way. When I say easy, it was an easy way for me to start the business. But now some of the hurdles that I'm finding on the business end with licensing and stuff and insurance, you know, we're giving people guns, we're giving them weapons, and we're sending them out into the woods. Yeah. So I've found great insurance companies, great relationships. We're able to do that and be successful at it.
So you're basically had this song, this Luke Bryan song running in the back of your head, right? What is it? Hunting, fishing, loving
every day. Yeah. You know, and that's what
that was kind of the impetus.
I'm kind of happy that it happened a little bit later in my career. So I had some guidance. Mm-hmm. You know, I needed somewhere. Everybody said, "Oh, when you retire, what are you going to do?" And I said, "Well, I'm going to be 51. I'm going to go be a fire chief somewhere." Mm-hmm. And then friends, yourself,
told you
and others said, "You really want to be a fire chief?" And I said, "I think I've earned it." And I think one night you even said, "Because there's other things out there for you," and there is. And when I look at it, being able to take people out and enjoy the outdoors, whether it's on land or in the water, I've kind of found a passion for that and gotten pretty good at it as far as being able to take people on guided hunts and not have to give them back their money, because that's one of the big parts of it.
Feel bad if they don't kill something.
Yeah, so if we don't harvest something, there's 3.
Sorry, I said kill you.
And we like to use harvest. It's easier. FWC likes the word harvest instead. There's 3 seasons that we use out there. It's turkey, a general gun, and then feral hog is all year long.
Right.
So if you have a Florida hunting license, I'll allow you to hunt on the property for different given rates, whether it's you want to go out there and camp with your family all week. If you want us to hunt for you, basically put you in a tree stand, show you where the game is coming in and out of, for turkey and deer. And then the other hunt is a little bit harder, but we take you on basically a 3-day food. You get shelter, and we take you out and we basically give you a dog hunt with dogs and capture some hogs.
Wow.
A lot of people like it, just making memories and pictures.
Okay. So on the hunting, or on land, we'll say on the land side, you've got it pretty well dialed in. You got a property to do this on. You know some patterns. You're able to provide some value to your clients.
Yes, they understand. The property portion of it. As you in the mortgage business know, started buying property tax deeds at auctions. It came rather quick and easy for me to learn the back doors and the tools to that.
Okay.
Got a good amount of property in Polk County. Became great friends with Sheriff Grady Judd.
Uh-huh.
He talked to me when I was deployed to Ian, and when he found out that I had that property, I said, "How do I keep the locals off of it?" He said, "You just keep on trying doing that, son. You'll never keep them away."
Yeah.
So I had to learn that the locals it's their property also, even though it's mine. I keep it well managed with some of the Polk County commissioners. They have guided me through that. And the land portion of it, as far as guaranteeing you something, I don't want to say 99%, but I can get you what you'd come out there for, in a great experience.
Good. I mean, I get it, just from the fishing side of things, nothing is 100%, but it sounds like you've learned the land, and you got a great thing going over there.
Yeah. I hope that in the next few years I can expand and be able to build like a barn dominium kind of a home on it.
Yeah.
So that I can actually offer people to come out and stay the weekend and do a larger type hunt. Cabela's has a yearly lottery that if you get in the top 5 of the lottery, you can go for a turkey hunt. And the turkey hunt is an Osceola turkey, which is prevalent in our southwest region of where we're at. And Cabela's basically pays me to have them drop a turkey off. They will drop said Chris off in the Uber at 9 a.m. I'll put the turkey in the field and give you the instructions of what you have to do, and you'll be on your plane back to your state within 4 hours with a picture of a nice turkey. And that's it's a win-win for everyone. The customer who won the lottery portion of it, it's just like a marlin, right? When you go on one of the marlin fishing charters, you're going there to take a picture, touch a leader, and be done with it and have a great experience. So
interesting. So in doing this, so as far as the land side goes, you've started to learn like what your costs are and what your overhead's looking like, and now you're better able to manage it from the customer experience side. So you can manage the customer experience. Now you know what the finance side of it is. So are you booking out pretty regularly, or is it?
So a lot of times people they're looking for the big game. And right off the bat, I cannot guarantee you a big game. We live in South Florida. The property is in Midwestern Florida that is not going to produce huge trophy deer.
Right.
You're not going to get that 8-inch bearded turkey that you're seeing in Alabama and in Kentucky and in the Western areas. But I will give you an experience that some people come down and they've never been feral hog hunting.
Yeah.
And when we tell them we're not going to use any weapons. I had last week.
So wrestling hogs.
We use hobbles and and with the dogs.
Oh, okay.
It's a little bit different of an adventure. And you know what? I can tell you that it's all around the United States. But we probably, and I have a close friends that they do this for basically trophies. And, there's dog competitions for catching hogs. But anyhow, the two people that we had, they were from New York City. They came down, they were staying with their grandparents, and they wanted to go out. So we met them out at the property, and we took them out for the afternoon, and they were rather impressed with it, because no weapons, and we're going to chase these things down. And it's a good time, though. And once we get them all tied up, we let them, take pictures with them and all.
Yeah.
So, but that's where we're at with it.
That's awesome. So, and then obviously on the fishing side of things, on the water side of things, what hoops have you had to jump through? Because you mentioned you've had some pretty substantial hoops to jump through there.
So I thought to myself, as this business was expanding, live on the water. I consider myself an okay fisherman. We're not great. And I heard a great name the other day, Glenn Aiken. That man, he could go out fishing and nobody could be catching fish.
Oh yeah.
And he'd have a whole boat full of fish.
Yeah. Old man of the sea.
Yeah. And he knew every hole, and and I like to pick their brains over the years. And even the people that live near my condo, I like how they go out and they catch these 4 or 5 fish in 200 feet of water, and they're doing it every day. And I needed to learn that.
Yeah.
And I think I have it pretty well tied up on how I get it done and what I need to get done. So I decided to adventure out and see if I could start this chartering business. And in the beginning, the chartering business was actually for my brother. My brother runs a portion of the business doing pier and causeway fishing, snook fishing. And although snook fishing is just a seasonal, and there's a time frame, and there's obviously the slot that has to be considered in the size of the fish, we were actually getting customers that really wanted to have a guide take them fishing on a causeway or on a bridge or on a pier. It seemed easy in the beginning until we found that if you were an out-of-state resident, you needed to buy a saltwater license plus get a tag that says that you're fishing off a pier. If you're a resident, you just get the tag. Just easy. It's free. It's online, easy to get. We were starting to lose customers because these people from out of town want to come, like I said, with the hunting, they want to come here to get a trophy. Yeah. You can't guarantee them a snook every time, but you got pretty good at guaranteeing them a nice picture fish, good moment, good experience. So let's do this. Well, I was losing money on that end of it as far as tackle for him and bait, and obviously have to pay him. Started looking into a couple ideas, talking to some other captains, and they're like, go get your captain's license. I said, that can't be hard. How many times have we been out drinking and there's a guy sitting across the bar, he's like, I'm a captain. I'm like, if that guy can do it, anybody can do it, right? I was wrong. 28 years in the fire service, taking written exams. And I would say that these last, the test is a 4-part test. And I just finished my rules of the road, did that really well. Been passing all of them. I have one more to complete, the charting and plotting. But once that's done, the goal is to not take over the charter industry. By no means, I have great friends that are fishing captains that run charters from here to the Keys. And, when I talk to them, I'm like, listen, if somebody calls me and they say, hey, I want that sailfish moment, or I want that marlin experience. Okay. I'm not going to say, hey, you come out with Shoot-Da-Gator, we're going to give you that. I'm going to say, I know some great charter captains. Along the way, I know that that'll pay off for me. Yeah. In the end, that'll pay off for me when I'm no longer working at the fire department and I want to take these charters out on a regular basis just to go 3-4 miles offshore to put smiles on faces and catch, some reef fish or so.
Awesome. So like where I'm selling money, mortgage business, selling people money, you're selling people memories.
Yes.
That's
Making
awesome
memories
stuff.
every day, and it also gives me the opportunity to take some of that education as far as awareness and being able to share that, in the back of your mind when you're on the boat or you're hunting, you're taking people out, you're guiding, you're still doing that leadership thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's going to be the big part of the curve of me retiring is I've been leading this train for 28 years and now no longer leading.
Yeah.
But I think this is really going to help me move into and keep my mind off of the job.
Well, I think that there's, just like my business, I think there's parallels. So just hearing what you're doing, in your current job, you're leading people in and out of burning buildings, right? Leading people in and out of medical situations. You're just leading people in and out of the water, in and out of hunting blind or whatever.
Yeah. No,
so
and
you're
that's
still doing the same. You're going to find, as you look back in a couple of years, you'll find that there's so many parallels to what you're doing compared to what you have done in the fire service.
Yeah, it's the fire service has given me great opportunities, and I think this here will also expand my horizon on many things. You spoke about going to the Bahamas. I already had a guy last week. He's like, "Would you drive my boat, take me and my wife to the Bahamas?" And I thought to myself, I don't have a clue on what I'm doing, in a big boat like that. And I said to him, I said, "Sir," I said, "I'm brand new at this." I said, "If you want to fish off the, 4 or 5 miles offshore, I'm confident in that, but as far as doing those big charters, and I'm hoping that along the way, these fishing tournaments that are happening this year, involved in that with the business. And I'm hoping that I can get out there and at least get my name out there to maybe mate or even get on as a second captain just to watch, because, it's very, the license was extremely hard, but I think at the end of this, they should have at least given you a little driver's course also, a little maybe a big tugboat or a pilot boat with bumpers and said, try and drive this around the inlet a little bit. So
there you go. Well, and I forget what we used to say with teaching, but it was like, watch one, I forget how it goes, but it was basically like watch one, do one, with teach somebody, right, and then teach one, right? Yeah. So like you mentioned the Bahamas. So like going to the Bahamas, here in South Florida, we're only like 50 something nautical miles from West End, Bahama, Grand Bahama. So I've had the opportunity to run over with a couple of guys and do some great wahoo fishing, tuna fishing. There's an amazing fishery over there, and it doesn't see as much pressure as our fishery does over here. So I felt the same way. Like I want to get to that point to where I can feel comfortable running over to the Bahamas. So so actually, just this past weekend. So I don't know when this show's going to air, but what is it now? It's like the first week of April, and so we ran over to the Bahamas on my boat. Know the whole process of checking in, doing it right, and the whole quarantine flag and checking in, and getting your cruising permit ahead of time, and your fishing license, and doing everything legally, and then coming back over and checking in through Customs and Border Patrol and doing it all correctly. I've learned it from folks that didn't do it correctly, and then I've learned it to do it the correct way, and it just is a lot more peace of mind in doing it. But I would say if that's something that your clients are into, obviously is get on some of these boats and take those opportunities when they come available to learn from somebody else so that you can then teach it.
And that's what I've been there. I've been sitting backwards, but I've never been responsible for it in the front seat. And that's what I said. A couple of our friends are always going over there, and we'll go, but I'm sitting in the back on a beanbag. It was never my responsibility.
Yeah.
And now that it's my responsibility, it's a lot to take in, because like you said, the Coast Guards, for example, when the Coast Guard came to inspect, even though it's an uninspected vessel, I deemed that for my insurance, that because the underwriter for my insurance says hunting. As soon as they want everything inspected. And so had the boat inspected, and the Coast Guard gentleman, he came out, when the Coast Guard guys come out, and he says, "Where's your fire extinguishers?" And I showed it to him. He goes, "You're a fireman, right? Sticker on the side." Yeah. My fire extinguishers, my flares. So long story short, they needed to be.
They're all out of date.
He gave me a fine, stern talking to, and I got that all fixed. And and then as soon as I got done with the captain's portion of that test, on there was about making sure that your stuff is adequately maintained. So
yeah,
it's been a great experience, great learning experience taking the certificate.
That's good. Good stuff. So how many more years do you have left in the fire department? Are you in the drop now, or
52 months?
52 months.
Yep.
Okay.
Everybody told me, it's came in as the young gun, 18, April 1994. And now 28 years later, there's only 3 of us that I remember looking up to there that are still on the job.
Wow.
And everyone else has retired, and the people that are there now are actually, we grew up with them, and when you tell a story, you look around the room and you're like, ooh, no one's going to know about this person, and so it's good to.
Nobody knows about Chris Phelps.
No,
the legend of Chris Phelps.
You'll come in some days and say, "Hey, is Markel here? Well, let me go check in his office," and everybody's kind of looking, and I walk out and I see you standing there. We start drinking our coffee, and I'm like, "You don't know anyone here." And some days, it's funny to even know. Some days I walk around. This past week, we hired, brought on our first, I think, 15 that started. And young guns, eager to learn, big sponges, and I can't pronounce half their names. And then I figure, wow, this is what I'm going to, in 52 months, I'm turning this all over to them.
Yeah.
Which someone did that for me. So I have to do that for them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's coming, 52 months.
Wow. So your business, you started it quite some time ago. You've been slowly getting it back together, getting all credentialed and getting the proper licensing and everything. Is your hope to do this as a full-time gig, or have you set yourself up through your retirement, through your drop account, and anything else to not have to do it like full time, or what's your goal?
My goal is I told my better half and myself and my children that when I go into the drop, the day I went in the drop, I needed to be financially stable to live the rest of my life.
Okay.
So what I had sitting, an old man once told me, you'll know him, Ed Morjean. He said to me, Markel, you don't have 6 months of your savings in an account, you're not prepared for retirement. And that hit home. I never, while I was raising my children. And
so 6 months of expenses, you mean?
6 months of your paycheck.
Oh, okay.
Of your paycheck.
Okay. 6 months of your earnings.
In a savings account.
Okay.
And I thought, that can't happen. I'm raising children. And I look at it today and I said, that can't happen.
Yeah.
But you know what? It can.
Okay.
It can. And when I hit that date of me saying I'm going to retire, I made sure that was one of the things that I had, because you need to financially be able to even with your COLA that you're getting, live the life that you earned.
Mm-hmm.
And when I say that, we did a lot. Our bones are not when we were 18 and 19
Mm-hmm.
anymore, mentally. So we need to be able to focus on a positive future and be able to do that without any bumps in the road financially.
Yeah.
So being able to have a good steady income from our pension,
Mm-hmm.
and being able to have that drop, which is a blessing for anyone and everyone, and setting myself up, this project adventure that I'm taking on is going to be for my daughter's husband and my daughter, my other daughter.
So you're building a legacy.
I'm building old Florida money,
Mm-hmm.
and it's been a long time coming as far as being able to get through everything, like you mentioned, licensing and all, but it's working, and I'm going to be able to guide them through it and do it when I want to. So.
Awesome. So if our listeners were thinking, you know what, I really enjoy, or I really love hunting and fishing, I really enjoy the Florida lifestyle, maybe I want to do something like that in my neck of the woods, what would you say, or what would you recommend be some of the steps that they would need to do?
For the land portion of it, if you are fortunate to be able to get to yourself at least 10 acres, backed up by, mine is surrounded by a preserve of 18,000 acres of Polk County land. It's the land. You have to be very, very cognizant and aware of the laws that are in that area, that have to do with the land and the purchasing of it. Are you purchasing land that is for agricultural, or are you purchasing it for recreation, or is this a lease? And that's where I messed up in the beginning, because I had a lease and I was taking people that I had had hired me on someone else's property. And that's a no-no with the insurance companies. Second is insurance. The minute you tell somebody that you're going to guide them, it would be like, telling somebody, we're going to get into SpaceX and I'm going to take you to the moon. It's the same thing. I'm giving a person a firearm. Mm-hmm. I'm hoping that, they understand the safety portions of it, that we do a briefing with them, and we even have a small range that we can let them shoot at. And then the water portion of it. So safety, the land and the insurance is one for that I would really look into. The rest of it, the guarantees, we give money back. You cannot deny that. I'm not going to take you out for 4 hours. Some people just want to do target shooting. Some people just want to walk around in the wilderness. I had a woman, she was with her husband. We went out, gave him a ride on the buggy, showed him around, took pictures of birds. And, I explained to him at the end, I said, I apologize. I said, as you've seen in it writing, she said, nope, here's an extra $100. She wanted to go ride around on the buggy and take pictures. She's seen the cows in the pasture and some horses. She was happy with it. And then on the water side of it, the worst thing you can do is overstep your boundaries. And what I mean by that is that there's men and women who have been salty dogs for years on the water. You're not going to come and take over their fishing or their spots. So what I've learned to do is be very, walk on eggshells, talk, meet people. Hey, Chris, do you know this guy? Maybe you can introduce me. I'm new at this. I don't want to catch marlin. I want to take, Miss Smith and Mr. Smith out fishing. And I didn't realize how many Miss Smith and Mr. Smiths daily want to go fishing. Yeah. There's the big numbers. I mean, the guys on the Blue Heron, Some days when there's only 4 or 5 people on the boat, it's because their other boat in Jupiter is loaded.
Yeah.
So, they've made a great living. So you don't want to step your boundaries on the water side. You just have to watch where you're going and explore different avenues. But I'm hopefully that it's working out successfully.
So somebody looking to start out, they need to learn the laws, because that's obviously first and foremost. They need to have proper insurance. They need to have some, on the land side, they need to have some property
that's theirs, hopefully.
On the water side, you've got to know the obviously the water rules, same as land. You got to know the water rules. You got to have the vessel or access to somebody's vessel, and then insurance, and then obviously knowing the spots and where to go from there.
Yeah, and you need the laws are always changing, and that's the one thing that you got to keep up on. Some people have called me and said, "Well, can you take me?" It actually happened this weekend. Someone wanted to pay me $1,200 to take them from Phil Foster to Peanut Island for Floatopia.
So Floatopia is is it twice a year or just once a year?
It's a summer kickoff of the sandbar. It's 20,000, 30,000 people all floating around, boats, unable to move from boat to boat. Yeah. It's a great adventure to watch from shore or watch from
a drone.
A drone would even work.
Yeah.
But, she was upset. Well, you're captain service. I'm a captain service that will bring you from port to port, or from port to returning home port, but you'll stay under my visual observation the whole time.
Yeah.
And, I just can't be dropping people off.
It's not a taxi service.
It doesn't work that way, especially when Palm Beach County has shut down their taxi service and their ferrying services for the day to the island.
Yeah.
You don't want to be caught. That's a quick way to get rid of business and your licenses.
Yeah. So do it right. Awesome. Yeah, it was going on as we were heading out the inlet, or heading around the island to get out the inlet. It was already going on at like 9 o'clock in the morning.
And they come 2-3 days before.
Yeah.
So.
All right. So for any of our listeners that are in the area or outside the area, and they're looking to have that Florida experience, build those memories, how would they? I don't even know that we mentioned the name of your company and how they would find you.
So obviously right now, social media is all about Facebook and Instagram.
Okay.
Shoot-Da-Gator LLC.
Shoot-Da.
So if you've got this time real quick, when I decided to do this, a good friend of mine, God rest his soul, Brian Walnevitz, was stationed with me, and Travis Held. We were at station, and I said, I'm going on a hunt. And they were like, we were watching that Shoot-Da-Gator, the Gator people on television. And Troy Landry always say, shoot 'em, shoot 'em, shoot 'em. And I said, I'm going to do that in my business. And Brian, as quick as he was, he said, yeah, shoot-da. And I'm like, thanks a lot, Brian. Yeah. And you know what? It stuck.
Yeah.
So it's Shoot-Da-Gator LLC. And we're full outfitting business. So the outfitting portion of it is, if you rent a boat from Palm Beach Boat Rentals, but you don't have fishing equipment, I teamed up with the guys at the Rod Room.
Okay.
Bought a bunch of used gear from them. So if you are going to go fishing on a rental boat and you need gear, we'll supply you with, whether it's trolling stuff or bottom rigs or just fishing off piers.
Yeah.
So Facebook and Instagram.
Okay.
And then our website is outfitters@shoot_da_gator.com. Seemed really cool in the beginning until you write that 4 or 5 times. But it's been successful, and it's been a great journey.
Yeah. I'm thinking of the movie Horrible Bosses too, where they mentioned the name of their website.
Yes. And Yes.
I've never said that out loud.
Yeah. Every time, people are like, what is it? I'm like, here we go.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll write it. That's why my business cards are I hand those out there.
How about a phone number? What's the
561-386-8815.
Awesome. So if you want to get a hold of Dave and Shoot-Da-Gator, there's a couple ways, and we'll have stuff in the show notes as well. As far as our podcast goes, if you know somebody that's doing something amazing, whether they're currently in the fire service or they've already retired, and you want to hear more about it or want to share your own story, you can reach us at info@latfpodcast.com. That's info@latfpodcast.com. We'll see you on the next one.